Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lab with me, Lisa DeRocha. This week we're going to talk about productivity tips. What are some of the things that you need to know in order to get more done in less time? And I want to start by sharing some of the things that you need to know about your brain and how it operates, which will then feed into 5 tips that I'm going to provide you with on how to organize your work. The first thing that I want you to appreciate about your brain is that your working memory is a very limited and precious resource. It's one that you need to protect and understand in order to use it effectively. The next thing I want you to understand is the prefrontal cortex, which is a part of the brain that sits right behind your forehead, is the part of the brain that's required for executive functioning. What I mean by executive functioning is things that have to do with planning, decision-making, strategizing. All of those things that we do at work on a day-to-day basis relies on this very important part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex. What's important to know about the prefrontal cortex is that many scientists called it the Goldilocks of the brain. And the reason why they called it the Goldilocks of the brain is that it needs things just right in order to operate effectively. The prefrontal cortex is actually pretty finicky in the sense that it needs a specific amount of stress in order to operate effectively. That's right, it needs stress. It actually relies on a certain amount of stress in order to focus attention appropriately. So let's get into the tips. Tip number 1, turn off all distractions for focused work. This is one that we hear all the time. Here's why people are telling you to turn off your phone, turn off your notifications on your computer, all of those type of things in order to get work, thoughtful work, completed. It takes a large amount of energy to change focus from one thing to another. Every time you're distracted, your brain is using up more energy than it needs to. Tip number 2, start your day with prioritizing. Prioritizing different projects requires your brain to juggle a lot of different things at the same time. And so prioritization becomes a very taxing exercise for our brain. This is why I am recommending that you start your day with prioritizing. And I'm going to add on tip number 1 to this. Do prioritizing or complete your prioritization exercises with all notifications off. Tip number 3, write things down. Holding information in your working memory, in your memory, takes up a lot of energy. It's energy that can be used for better, more productive exercises. And so write things down. When you're prioritizing, for example, write down your list on a piece of paper and have everything in front of you. You want to make sure that you're writing things down and not using your precious limited brain resources on holding information. Tip number 4, schedule attention-rich exercises when your brain is fresh and alert. Here are a couple of things to keep in mind. Number 1, you can't be hungry when you're doing thoughtful work. Your brain actually uses up a ton of your energy. And so you want to make sure that you're not stuffed to the point of, passing out, but you want to have nourished your body and given your brain fuel to operate. Number 2, your brain also gets energized by exercise. So after an exercise, after a walk, after you've moved your body, that really energizes your brain, and it is a good thing to do before you commit to thoughtful, attention-rich projects. And number 3, try to figure out when is your brain most alert. I know for me, it's first thing in the morning. Some people, they have that type of focus in the evening. Start paying attention and realize, are you a morning or an evening person when it comes to committing your focused attention? Tip number 5, just as it's important for us to think about how we're using our attention and focus, as well as how we are organizing our day in a brain-friendly way, it's critically important for us to not place attention on non-urgent items. For example, don't think about a project until you have all of the information required in order to be able to work on that project. Another example, all those emails that are in your inbox, when you're placing your attention on a project, forget about them. Leave them to the side. Just assure your brain that you will get to them by scheduling some time to review emails, but don't allow non-urgent items to use up precious energy. For more productivity tips, reach out to me directly. For now, that's it. We'll see you next week at the Leadership Lab. Ciao. To practice the wow, this is how my brain is feeling right now.